Good morning. Today is February the 12th. I'm sorry, the 15th. And I guess it's Valentine's Day, so happy Valentine's Day. We are out in the lower half of the local vigilance area. We are going to do some tracking today and maybe do some story time related stuff and book review. I got the Eastern States version of 411 by David Paulides. I might be doing a little bit of a review of that as well now that I'm halfway through the book. But we're going to head in and we're going to do some tracking and we'll see what we find. Thanks. Making entrance into this area. I was here last week too, but due to some mishaps I'm going to reshoot last week's video for reasons I don't really need to get into. But so I guess the one thing we'll try to cover today, we'll see if we can get the drone in the air. The wind is actually pretty good for that, but the snow is very deep, so it's going to be a matter if I can find a suitable launch point to do that from for an intro. But so we are basically following Bambi at this point. The snow is about knee deep. Let me go around this so I don't have to spike myself on anything. Kind of cold today. It's fighting to be about 22. And so yeah, what I said in the intro, we're going to do kind of a story time today. We're going to cover a fairly well-known piece of Vermont history, and we're going to tie it into the books, to the book review. So what we're talking about is a well-known case out of the Bennington Triangle, the Paula Weldon disappearance from 1946. And what I'm going to do with this is kind of a comparison between what I call the clinical telling of the situation and the Paulides version. So I had tried to do this last week, but I kind of did it off the cuff, and I kind of fact-checked myself after the fact, and I had made some assumptions that weren't completely accurate. So for the sake of doing things correctly, we're doing that again this week. So in 1946, Paula Weldon was a sophomore at a local area college around Bennington and Woodford, and one morning she had finished the morning and the lunch shift at the cafeteria at her college, and she had decided to go out on a hike and told her roommate she was going to leave for a hike, and got a ride to the Route 9 Long trailhead. And the last people that saw her were folks coming down from the trails. It was beginning to snow, and one of them expressed concern that she seemed to be underdressed for the situation. And of course the rest is history, because she was never seen again. Now, the clinical version of the story tells of a person, I forget if he's the guy who gave her a ride or not, but he had been fighting with his wife or some such, and for a while he was a person of interest in her disappearance. The Paulides version of the tale tells of somebody reporting hearing a woman scream near the swamp, which is near Bickford Hollow. Now, this entire area, the road into the Long Trail is called Harbor Road, and Bickford Hollow is kind of a road that is it kind of veers to the left of there. And looking at Google Maps, I see no swamp near Bickford Hollow. Now, maybe it's further up the mountain. If it is, I may have actually hiked that area, and I find it doubtful that somebody would have heard a scream from the road, given the denseness of the forest and the what am I looking for? The distance from the road and the denseness of the forest. I don't think that's likely. Now, the clinical version kind of reads like a murder. Like the truck driver guy probably killed the girl for whatever reason. Maybe out of anger for fighting with his wife, who knows. But as far as not having the swamp anywhere near Bickford Hollow, which is a road, it seems like This is 1946. We're talking between then and 2021. A lot of things can happen, so it could just be time gone by too. But the thing I'm going to kind of tie in here, the clinical version again makes it sound like a murder. A lot of the stories from the 411 books kind of like lead you. They don't say Bigfoot, but they try to kind of gently lead you in that direction, and that's kind of Paulides' shtick. A lot of the missing kids stories are the kid's found. Sometimes the kid comes up dead from exposure, but the kid is found in an area where the area's already been checked, but the kid mysteriously shows up. They're in decent shape, and they, for some reason, a lot of the time, they're friggin' naked or semi-naked, and they're eating berries. That's like the one commonality there. So make of that what you will, but it kind of leads, and then every now and then the story has, well, I slept with this bear, or I slept with this big black dog, because the kid's like maybe 2-3 years old and doesn't really have the, the acumen to articulate Bigfoot, because they've never heard of such a thing. But it kind of leads you in that direction. So the stories themselves are interesting, if not a little monotonous. I can only read a little bit at a time because they do start getting repetitive. So when you have a whole lot of them in a row, you tend to gloss over details. But I guess he's put a lot of work into the thing, so I'll give him that much credit. But I do think he's kind of got a little bit of an agenda too. So that's my thought on the book. On a scale of like 1 to 5, I'll give it a 3. 3 for the amount of work, but I do think he's got a little bit of a book selling agenda. So, it is what it is. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a little bit of a segue break, and when we come back, we're going to hike that way, if the lovely camera will stop tilting, over there into that tree line up there, and work our way up to the hill up there, and see what we find in the way of tracks and the like. Gotten the drone in the air. So we'll be back in a bit. From here, we got a little bit of flight time. Kind of flew it over the meadow to look for tracks before we make our way out here. I don't think any of this is frozen over with water. I think it's just basically a meadow, but I guess we'll find out the hard way, if not. I've flown over it a number of times, so it's not like dangerously deep or anything, so it would be like wet feet and a little mild cursing pretty much. But we're going to make our way through. Back there a ways we had what looks like a vole or something tunneling through the snow. If you've never seen that, a vole is basically the rodent world's equivalent to they swim through the snow. It's like when they tunnel, they have like the pointy little nose and the long skinny body, so they're buzzing through the snow almost like they're swimming through it when they tunnel through. It's actually kind of neat. So to see them doing that's kind of cool. But out in the middle of this, I don't really see a lot of tracks or anything. It's more like virgin snow and me making the tracks through here. I just got to be a little careful because this isn't even ground. It can be kind of bumpy. You can't tell that under the snow. But, so we're going to kind of poke around here. We'll review the drone footage too, since we flew over this a ways. I guess that's kind of cheating, but you got technology, leverage it. So, unfortunately, the Mini is still on the mend. I have to switch out 2 of its blades because the last trip kind of chipped them up. I don't know if they get brittle in the cold or what, but they got chipped up, so it had some flight time issues. Maybe I'll do that over the long weekend. I have President's Day off, so that's kind of a nice thing. Gives me a long weekend, so it's kind of a nice takeaway. Here's a deep spot. So yeah, Paulides' book, give it about a 3, maybe 3.5 out of 5. Makes for an interesting read. I'll go back. I will say this for Dave's book, though. I will go back and read it a second time once I've gotten all the way through it and kind of go back through the stories. And it's one of those things where you have to kind of double back through it and kind of get your second impression in case you missed something the first time, that kind of thing. But it's an interesting book. It's kind of interesting because you'll have clusters of disappearances in various areas. The kids are always usually, keyword usually, found alive. The older folks, not always so much. But it's almost like he's trying to paint the picture that Bigfoot grabs the kid for a like kind of an unauthorized play date with the monkey man, and then when he's done drops the kid back off. Why the hell he's stripping him naked, I have no idea, but it's almost always the same thing though. It's like they're always like scratched up from going through basically shit like this. And they you know, but it's like, why the hell are you taking their clothes off? And then there's a couple stories where it's like a girl, but she's not like a little kid. She's more like 12, 15, you know, teenage years. And in one case, I guess the girl was hiding in a barn somewhere trying to get away from, you know, the proverbial something. But, of course, that something is implied to be Bigfoot. But so what happens when they get older? Because he doesn't seem to be so nice to the adults and whatnot. Does he get kind of like horny towards the teenage girls or what? I don't know. Is Bigfoot a perv? So, not really a whole lot in the way of tracks over here. So we're going to head into the tree line, start making our way up the hill, see what's going on over here. For those, there's a track line over here, and actually one right here too. More vole activity right there. I'll show you in a sec. If the camera would be so nice as to cooperate. This right here, probably some kind of mouse or some such. Then over here, we have a deer trail. Pretty sure. Yep. So, the ground is probably going to get more uneven up here because this hillside's been logged. So there may be refuse on the ground. So if I need to take a segment break to kind of navigate that one, we may have to do that. But we're gonna find a hole in the tree line here, probably moving these pine branches out of the way and kind of duck through this little, oh shit, this area's kind of wet. Guess we'll figure that out. Go up this hill here because we're avoiding walking in the stream. I guess we'll keep rolling. There's no reason really not to. You get in here, there's a fair amount of deer crossing in here from the look of it. You can kind of see off in the distance here. Hold on. Or a lovely view of the treetops. There you go. You can kind of see the deer tracks around. But and here would be the deer bedding area. So I guess my take on his book, I'm gonna before I get too critical or not, I'm gonna read it again, kind of find the why are you bedding down on a wet area? That doesn't make a lot of sense. But clearly they are. Apparently Bambi is stupid. Whatever. So real quick, I keep doing that. Bambi bedding area down right in here. We're gonna keep going up here over this log and then up the way here. I think the trail, the logging trail, is up here somewhere. We'll intersect with it after we bop through this log-ridden area right here. Hopefully not tripping over anything. That would suck. So, yeah, I can see a lot of bumps up there, so we gotta mind the debris that you don't necessarily see in the snow line. Kind of making our way up the hill here. I can already feel it. Oh shit, this may not. Yeah, I can see a lot of bumps up there, so we gotta, because you can't see mind the stuff. I'm very debris that you don't necessarily see in the snow line. See how we do. Kind of making our way up the hill here. I can already feel it. Oh shit, this may not be the best idea I've had, because you can't see the stuff. I just don't want to twist an ankle or something. Well, let's see how we do. But I just don't want to twist an ankle or something. Yeah, there's a log right there, but in there. In there. Yeah, there's a log right there. In there. I was thinking before I didn't need my snowshoes. It might actually not have been a bad thing to bring them. In there. But I didn't, so we do what we do. I was thinking before I didn't need my snowshoes. It might actually not have been a bad thing to bring them. But I didn't, so we do what we do. Damn it. Worst case scenario, I could always turn back and backtrack, but I've already committed to the hill. Damn it. So, kind of following worst case scenario, I could always extend back and backtrack, but I've already committed to the hill. We'll so plot on, I guess. Kind of following Bambi to an extent, but hillside snow is deeper than the meadow snow. I guess. We're up to our knees and running into logs that I can't see, making the hillside snow is deeper than the meadow snow. We're up to our knees and running into logs. It might be a good strategy too, making the going more. I just followed the deer tracks. Tricky, because they seem to be winding around the obstacles. It might be a good strategy too. You get even ground maybe. I just followed the deer tracks because they seem to be winding around the obstacles. So at least you get even ground maybe. Shit. Okay, Bambi screwed me. Probably didn't have a new nick on my leg. Great. Shit. What? Okay, Bambi screwed me. Probably didn't have a new nick on my leg. Great. I just kind of have to go slow and kind of feel for logs under my feet and make sure I don't slip. And otherwise kind of pace myself. I just kind of have to go slow and kind of feel for logs under my feet. The depth of the snow versus the trail. Make sure I don't slip. I think, although you never know, this may be the trail. And otherwise kind of pace myself too, so because ascertain if that's what it is. Trail. I think, although you never know, this may be the trail. Another deer bedding area right here, a digging area. Ascertain if that's what it is. And then right here, start working my way backwards. This thing right here, another deer bedding area right here, a digging area. This is the trail. Okay. I'm going to take a moment right here and take a breather. This thing right here. And start working. Deer trail. This is the trail. This way. Okay. And while I take a breather, take a moment. I'm going to do a segment break too. We are going to level off here. I don't really feel like scaling the entire hill. And start working this way. I love how there's always going to be a take a breather when I'm filming. I'm going to do a segment break too. I'm going to wait that out. As mentioned before, there's an airport not a couple of miles from here, so you got stuff flying over. That is what it is. There it is. I'm going to say the throttle on that sounds weird. It's almost like there's a flying saucer overhead. But I look up and I can see the Airbus or whatever the hell it is. It's a jet. With some weird reverberations in the air. But yeah, so older deer tracks here. So I guess the thing in the news from the community this week is the Salt Fork Bigfoot tooth DNA thing. And I haven't really paid that much close attention to it, but it's worth mentioning, I guess, that the prevailing theory is it's a hoax. That's not completely shocking, but I have to be careful here. More log. I mean, this one's obvious. The smaller ones aren't, though. You put your foot down and you don't have even footing. I'm sure I've made videos in the past where I harp about the fact I can't see where my feet are, which is basically a precursor to, if you don't have, I mean, this is where you wear boots all the while doing this, because camera died on me. If you're off trail and you don't, that's annoying. So what I was saying, if you don't wear boots and you're off trail like this, it is so easy to roll an ankle. And then again, you're off trail and you've rolled your ankle. So that is a bad thing. But with boots come ankle support. That's a good thing. So an off trail safety tip of sorts. Somebody was digging here. A couple of deer or something were digging to get at something. Yeah, so the snow's uneven here. It's like in spots, it's, basically ankle deep, and then get in other spots, it's knee deep, where the going's a little slower. Which is my plotting pace in a nutshell. We're basically on the back side of the meadow down there that we came through, kind of working our way back in a big loop. And tracking deer, I guess, because I don't really see any other kind of tracks right now. Fair amount of them, though. If you get a warmer stretch, occasionally you'll find the odd bear track, because occasionally one of the neighborhood bears will have his stomach rumble and get up looking for food this time of year. But hold on, I'm trying to. I think it's fair to say I'm burning a deceptive amount of calories doing this, but I just don't want to take a spill and wrench my knee or some stupid thing. Which is where the snow is kind of a good and a bad, because on the one hand, it slows you down, but it's deep enough you can actually, to some degree, use it as leverage if your feet are not initially even. You can kind of feel, so like right there, minor. As we get closer to the main trail, squirrel tracks, this trail gets a little bit more uneven because there's a bunch of like little logs on the ground. What they basically did is they put those there to allow for the steam, the construction equipment they use. I don't know what the term is, but to get in here deeper to thin out some of the. They claim it's to kind of grab the ash trees because they're saving them from the ash borer, which apparently the Northeast has an ash borer invasive species thing going on, which if so is unfortunate. But so certain stretches of the forest have been kind of thinned out a little bit, others not so much. The area on the other side of the road is obviously not, but that's not public land, that is a land trust, which it's not that I stay off it all the time, but they do allegedly patrol it. And if you're found there, honestly, I would just plead ignorance and turn around and walk back and not deal with that. But it's a land trust, and technically I guess that's trespassing. So they do have a retired state trooper guy who patrols it allegedly. I've never seen him, and I know the stretch of woods that runs along the border between state land and their little stretch of land. But somebody did come in here. This looks more like snowshoer came in here, which will make my walk out a little easier. Didn't commit too deep though. Yeah, it's better. Bambi was using his provided trail too, which is kind of not a bad thing. So what I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to find this thing and go out and probably go up the hill and kind of ascertain conditions there. But I'm going to take a segment break again and cover some ground.